just a matter of luck now, honey. Plenty of cake for everyone, you said. Try to get out of bed.
Hello, Mama.
Such a disgrace, oh yeah. Tried to contain it. I didn't mean to start a war. You can point your pistol at me, but
You're the best.
we could draw.
Always on first, Mom. Thank you.
Who's gonna feed me? Now I've broken all the plates. Who's gonna love me? Who's gonna love me? I am all the mess. I am all the mess. I am all the mess.
Hey, Sarah. Thanks again for yesterday. Hey, Angèle. Perfect. I'll tune you in a minute.
But I think talking to an artificial human face would be slightly discombobulating.
Let it run out the door.
This is my new single. It's called The Mess. I released it last week. It's about anxiety and depression talking to each other. And it's Mental Illness Awareness Week. And so I've organized a series of conversations with people about mental health. And today we have Angèle D'Alessio, who is a mental health promoter for the Canadian Mental Health Association. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. We're just going to wait for a few more people to pop on here. Thanks for tuning in. Won't be long, we'll get started. Hello, Nikki.
Save us from ourselves.
I am all the mess. But you know that already because you're here on Instagram and it's Mental Illness Awareness Week. So here we are having the second of 5 conversations. And today we have Angèle D'Alessio from the Canadian Mental Health Association. Hello, Angèle.
Hello, thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Honor to be here.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Well, I'm going to let you get right into it and tell us who you are, what your pronouns are, and what you do.
Okay, well, what I do is I'm a mental health promoter for the Canadian Mental Health Association here locally in Cornwall. And I've been doing that, primarily some work with youth and high schools for about 14 years. And most recently, I've also taken on a gig, a really awesome job with CMHA Ontario, where I promote a CBT program. And I kind of caught a little bit of your interview yesterday, promoting cognitive behavior therapy. So I'll be sharing the Bounce Back program a little bit later on with you on behalf of CMHA Ontario as well. So kind of wear dual hats, but I love what I do, very passionate about it. And my purpose is to spread awareness, education on mental health, mental illness, in hopes of reducing stigma.
Amazing. Thanks for all the work that you do. How did you get into this in the first place? How did you get these gigs?
Oh, wow. This is an interesting, okay, so my background is I started off working in recreation, primarily with seniors. So I did that for about a decade. I know I look very young, it's hard to believe, but I did that, and I really enjoyed event planning and, you know, just talking in general. I love talking to people. I love people. And this opportunity, but just to kind of to bring it back a little bit, I've experienced a lot of mental illness in my own life with family and friends, and I never really knew how to support them. I didn't go to school necessarily to learn about mental health, but it was all around me, and I felt like somehow I wanted to get involved. And a job opportunity came up at the Canadian Mental Health Association it was called Peer Resource. Well, it wasn't called Peer Resource at the time, but it's where you plan activities and clients drop in. It's like a drop-in center. And I thought, oh, well, I can do this with seniors. I can do this with anyone. So I applied. And I didn't get the job. And I was so disappointed because I thought that'd be an opportunity to learn more about the organization. I really, really wanted to learn. And but then there was a but at the end of the conversation from the HR manager who offered me public education. And it was so funny because I remember her saying, "How are your computer skills?" And this is going back, 14 years ago. And I said, "Oh, they're okay. They're pretty good," and they weren't. So I self-taught myself how to do PowerPoints and presentations and speaking to an audience, and then went back to school for it. And fast forward 14 years, couldn't be happier. I love what I do.
I love that you're doing it too, Angèle. What if somebody, like, let's say people are listening right now and they're like, "Oh, I really want to get involved in some sort of helping out," and maybe not necessarily like a paid position. Are there any volunteer things that people can do with the CMHA?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. So locally at our branch on Pitt Street, mind you, it is COVID, so things have changed quite a bit. A lot of the opportunities, to do public education booths, to do, fundraising, that's kind of slowed down. But there's still opportunities. So I would encourage people to visit our website, www.cmha-east.on.ca, and there's a tab there for volunteering. We also accept students on placement. Now, again, things may have changed during COVID, but those typically to get involved. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I'm sure.
And they can even come with me.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure with like online things,
Yeah.
like people can run. There's a really great way of attaching a fundraiser to any sort of Facebook post at the moment, and so you can just choose what sort of mental health or other organization that you want to raise funds for. I know a lot of people do that for birthdays, but you can do it sort of any time of the year, right?
I love that you said that, because if anybody wants to connect with me and host any kind of virtual fundraising event, or has any creative ideas on how we can fundraise or reach out to our community during these challenging times, I'm open to suggestions and would love to work with anyone who's interested.
And fundraising is particularly important with CMHA, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so my position in particular, we do receive ministry funding for the Canadian Mental Health Association, with the exception of my department, which is mental health promotion. We're entirely based on fundraising dollars alone to do any events like this tonight, or presentations in schools, or suicide prevention talks, anything like that. We cover a wide area. We cover SDG Prescott Russell. So yeah, fundraising is really, really important for us.
Right, and CMHA is a national organization, so there's branches all around the country. Is that right?
That's correct. So if you're watching and you're in Toronto, there's several branches in Toronto that you can get involved in. Provincially, there's branches everywhere and across Canada. Yeah.
Right. I found that really interesting because when I started, connecting with CMHA to help in fundraising, the chats that I was having with people who work there were like, saying that everything that is like crisis oriented, or a lot of things, let's say, that are crisis oriented are covered by the ministry, but everything prevention is not. And I found that blew my mind, because to me,
I know,
crisis intervention is absolutely important. And equally important is the prevention, to not have to get to that point where people are at their absolute wits' ends and needing to rely on the system for that. So what I was doing with the CMHA in Cornwall was doing like a songwriting workshop with Starbright. Starbright is what it's called?
Starbright, yes, that's right.
Right, which is like a youth group that gather for support for youth and that sort of thing. And then they were saying that like a lot of the money that I was helping raise through merch, and I'm still doing a portion of my sales go to the Canadian Mental Health Association, go directly into
Thank you.
public health talks in schools and that sort of thing as prevention. So I think prevention is super important, and if anybody wants to get on board, if anybody wants to donate, you can actually go to my website. There's a sticker, if you will, on my website, and you can click there, and it will take you to the CMHA site, and you can donate directly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, my pleasure. I think it's really important. We were going to talk a little bit about like why Mental Illness Week is a thing. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so this is my favorite time of year, and not because we're highlighting mental illness awareness, but because I get to talk to lots of people who are willing to listen at this time of year. So this is our signature event at CMHA. We've been doing it for over 17 years, even before my time with the branch. And what we've been doing each year is typically a mental illness awareness walk. And you know, if I was to remember 14 years ago, we had maybe 10 people attend, 15, mostly staff and volunteers, maybe a few clients. Let's fast forward to last year's event where we hosted over 250 people, and we couldn't even fit in the building. And it's to the point where the organization that was hosting us said, we don't want to like kick you out, but our max is 250, yeah. Right? So then fast forward to this year, and it's COVID, and we can't do our typical awareness walk, but we're going to be promoting the week in different ways, one of them being a car parade tomorrow, which is going to turn out to be a fantastic event. We have this car club that's joining us with Lamborghinis and really cool cars. It's going to be amazing. So, you know, we're still keeping the conversation going, and people are open. You know, it's I mean, we got a long ways to go, but people are open to this conversation, and they, you know, I saw a survey by CMHA Ontario that posted it on their website that, you know, 85% of people feel now in 2020 that mental health is just as important as physical health. Like when I saw that, I was, you know, that's mind blowing, right? Like that's a stat that I never thought in my wildest dreams I would see. You know, and that people thought that it was just as important, because that's what I've been preaching for years. Mental health matters. There's no health without mental health, which is the theme this year. And now people are actually on board. So this is the kind of thing we need to keep doing, keep this conversation going.
Well, I'm glad that, you know, that the awareness is getting out there. And I think especially with COVID, you know, people are especially aware of things, and especially you know, in themselves during a time like this where it is really you know, like, to be honest, like people are having to like sit with themselves for the first time.
They do a lot of
their lives.
Yeah.
It's easy to just like, you know, just bulldoze life and keep yourself really busy and not really have to sit with your emotions and that sort of thing. And so when people are bored, I think is when a lot of this stuff sort of comes up. So I hope that people can use the resources, because there are so many resources. The problem is maybe they're scattered across different organizations across the country, across the world. But I'm glad we're doing this to sort of let people know, especially in the Cornwall area, which is my hometown, of like where they can access help and how they can do that. So yeah, tell me more about your involvement in, we had a list of questions here and I'm struggling to find that document.
Well, I wanted to pick no, that's okay. I wanted to piggyback on what you just mentioned, that people have to sit with themselves, you know, during COVID. And, you know, again, through that survey, when people are asked to, how they felt their mental, you know, what was the impact to their mental health, 53% of people living in Ontario, this is an Ontario statistic, said that they have noticed a significant increase in anxiety, depression, stress for a variety of reasons. So we're talking about half of people in Ontario feel that their mental health has been impacted. So now I feel like, you know, as you mentioned, people are really waking up to the importance of mental health, looking after prevention. There's lots that we can do. So that's what we do in the schools. So for the past 17 years, actually it might be even 20 now, since 2001, do the math on that, 19 years, we've been offering a program locally, prevention program that is not ministry funded, but through our fundraising efforts. We offer a free program to local high schools from grades 7 through 12. So schools would typically book us. We would go in. We would do 3 to 4 days of mental health education. We'd tackle everything from mental health to mental illness to stigma to types of disorders to look out for in adolescents. And the reason why we're targeting youth particularly is because half of all mental illnesses start to emerge around age 14. And 75% of symptoms will show up by age 24. So that's kind of the critical time. 14 to 24 is when you want to be aware and reach out for those supports that you may need to prevent the crisis, to prevent it from becoming chronic, perhaps.
Right. And I mean, even if you yourself aren't affected by this and you're, you know, a youth in high school, you know, social circles are so tight, maybe you're noticing some of these symptoms in friends of yours, you know, and there's other ways to kind of help your friends out, you know, and if everybody knows this information, then we can all support each other a lot better. And then there's less stigma about like one black sheep, if you will, that is going through this, but instead it's the community that goes through it together and we all help each other out, right?
And I've seen that time and time again, youth staying back after class, you know, trying to connect somebody that they care about or themselves, or, you know, someone will send us a letter that they sent, you know, to their friend wondering if it's okay. Did I say the right thing? And I could tell, we'd be here all night if I shared all the stories, the inspirational stories that I've heard over the years of youth reaching out to youth. It's beautiful.
The youth are really the future, and I mean the more things are you know, the more things are stressful right now with everything that's going on with the state of the world and the planet and racism and mental illness and all of this stuff, you know, it's really the youth that give me hope. There's a lot of interesting youth that, you know, people can follow on Instagram, and you just like, if you're feeling down and you're wondering about the state of the world, look at the youth and you'll know that everything's gonna be okay. They're
predicting. Yeah, well, my daughter's 13. She's part of what they call Gen Z, and they're predicting huge, you know, impacts to not only climate change but just change in general. That impact for the good, for the better, you know, to empower people and you know, diversity and all of that. They're going to do wonderful things. So, you know, they're 13, 14, 15 now. Wait to see what happens when they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to being a little old lady. And
me too.
Looking out my window and being like, yes, there was a reason we went through all that crap, you know? The youth have got our
You
back.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for sharing all this information with us, Angèle. Is there any other sort of, you know, support things that we can talk about? Anything that people should know about CMHA or otherwise?
Yeah, well, a few resources that maybe I'll share with people. So just reminding everyone that, you know, the reason we're doing Mental Illness Awareness Week is because it does affect a lot of people. So 1 in 5 will experience a mental illness in any given year. But if you want to break it down even further, 500,000 people this week alone will miss work due to a mental illness. So those numbers, when you think about them, are staggering. We know that suicide rates, you know, they're, you know, even in Canada, are high. I mean, one person is too many, and suicide can often be connected to depression and other more serious types of mental illnesses. So this is why it's so important to have these conversations, know where to reach out for help, and most importantly, the thing that gets in the way the most is the stigma. You know, so we need to really research the information that we hear. Don't take it for face value. I mean, things circulate on social media. that may be false, and you want to really verify from reliable sources like your CMHAs, your World Health Organizations, on what is fact when it comes to mental illness. You know, I really want to demystify the fact that people often assume that mental illness equals violence, and that couldn't be further from the truth. That is Hollywood looking for ratings, right? Looking to sell a movie. The reality is less than 3 people, you know, like less than 3% of people are violent and dangerous who have a mental illness. So that's, you know, one of the many myths that are, and that's the kind of thing that I talk about in my presentations. But just to end on a positive note, there is help, and early intervention is the best intervention, but prevention is even better. So some local resources, if you're from the Cornwall area, would be, of course, your Canadian Mental Health Association branch on Pitt Street. You can walk in or you can call. I'm not sure if a lot of people know about the walk-in counseling clinic. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't, no.
So every Thursday from 1 to 8 on Montreal Road, you got to call and make well, I think now you have to call because it's COVID. Typically you would walk in like a medical clinic.
Right.
But it's a, first come, first serve. And if you're struggling with something and you need someone to talk to, it could be relationship, it could be mental health related, it could be family. Don't let it, go on and on and on until it becomes overwhelming. This is what this service is there for. Go see a professional who can help guide you perhaps in the right direction. That is free, and it's every Thursday. And I believe most major cities have a walk-in counseling clinic. And then, of course, there's your crisis numbers. They're available 24 hours a day, and I wrote the number down, 1-866-996-0991. You're really in crisis and struggling, please call someone, or help support someone. Call for them. And of course, we have our provincial programs. You mentioned people are watching provincially perhaps, or throughout Canada. But provincially, we have a program called Bounce Back, and that's the CMHA Ontario branch that I work for. The government is starting to invest in prevention intervention programs like Bounce Back. And it's all based in cognitive behavior therapy. So I have here some books. This is what we mail you. They're free. They're easy to read. It's one statement, but it's exactly what you said about, I was watching your video from yesterday, and it's really about reprogramming your brain. And this is where the prevention intervention comes in, is that cognitive behavior therapy changes the way you think, to change the way you feel, to then change the behavior. So we have, a variety of books from, how to be happier to I can't be bothered to do anything. Maybe it's due to depression. Mm-hmm. And then, 20, 30 more topics. Plus we provide you a mental health coach, somebody in your corner to support you along the way. So we follow you every 2 weeks, and you don't even have to leave your home. You do this on the couch, in your PJs, at a time that's convenient for you, and we mail everything to you. All you need is a phone and a willingness to change your life. Bounce Back, visit bouncebackontario.ca, self-refer, and you can get started on this within days. There's no wait times, and it's completely free.
So bouncebackontario.ca, you go to that website, you sign up, you get sent a bunch of books and a mental health coach?
Even better than that. So the only requirement is that you have to have a doctor, because in the event that things progress and they're not going in the right direction, we have a responsibility to connect you back to somebody. Right. So the only requirement, they're not involved in the process necessarily, except for the fact that we share back information on how things are going.
Right.
We report
an emergency contact, if you will.
Yeah, think of it that way. But what you get when you sign up for Bounce Back is think of it like a gym. You go to a gym and you get a personal trainer. You're going to do much better with your goals than if you just kind of walked in there, looked at the equipment, had no idea how to use the the elliptical trainer or the whatever you're using. See, I don't even know because I don't go to the gym, but it's kind of the same idea. If I had a personal trainer, they could explain to me how to reach my goals, keep me motivated.
Right.
That's what Bounce Back does. They they identify the stressors or what's causing anxiety, what's causing low mood. They create a plan. They send you the books that are going to target those specific needs. And then they walk you through, perhaps you had challenges on, I don't understand what the book wants me to do. That's where your coach comes in and says, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Let's do plan B. Let's talk about why you couldn't meet that challenge. Maybe you're just too overwhelmed. It's thousands of people, 47,000 people have referred into the program. We have over 9,000 doctors, unique doctors in the province, referring continuously to this program. It's been amazing. It's been really amazing, and it's a free service available to anyone who wants to try it. So check it out. Bounce Back Ontario.
Bounce Back Ontario. Oh my God, such good information. Angèle, thank you so much for sharing all this stuff with us. I feel like this is like this is a good week of just like stuff you can chew on, you know, of like actual things that you can do, because it's such a wide world of like, how do you, like, especially if you're feeling low, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like you're having suicidal thoughts, it's really difficult to like search the internet for that. So that's the whole point of this week, is to try to like demystify a few of these things, give something people can chew on. And I think Bounce Back Ontario is exactly that. And I might make a little request for those books myself, because
and that's another thing people can do. You don't have to necessarily be going through it, but still sign up. Be ready. Build that toolbox. Prevention, prevention, prevention. And then you'll be equipped to help support someone else should you ever need it. So it's for everyone. Who it's not for are people with perhaps more severe symptoms that require a different type of intervention. But I would say if you're no symptoms, mild to moderate symptoms, check out Bounce Back. It could be life-changing.
Amazing.
So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, Angèle, thank you so much. You're brilliant. Thanks for all the work that you do. And well, we'll keep in touch, because I think you're a very sweet human.
Thank you for everything you do. Like I said in my little text, you're beautiful inside and out, and your voice is wow.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So thank you for spreading awareness, you know, through your talents and sharing in a different way that really resonates with people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angèle. Have a good one. Ciao. I'm gonna
Bye-bye.
let
Bye-bye.
Angèle go here. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I've got another chat tomorrow. Tomorrow is with Olivia, who is a grief counselor. So some possible trigger warnings for tomorrow as well. But thank you so much for tuning in, and spread the word about all of these things. Tell everybody you know that there is help, there is hope. We are all the mess, but we will get through this together. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow. Ciao.